Hey everybody, here I is. Let me take a sip from my 6-year-old girly cup here. Because I'm so mature like that. I'm actually very thirsty tonight. And my allergy voice again is horrible, so you'll have to bear with me as I refill my cup here. But thanks for stopping by. I'll make it through this one. Again with no voice. Had a busy weekend. And for me, like, this is the peak of like my spring bridal wedding season. So, it's like very busy in the spring, quiet then in the summer, and then in the fall, there's a lot of people that get married. So, and just had 2 women contact me over this weekend. I think one was Friday and Saturday, or maybe we were both on Saturday, I forget. And wanting to come in to do a session like at the end of May. Not a big deal. And so I try to find when's your wedding. I need to know how much time I have. And the one woman was like, oh, the middle of June. I'm like, I want to come in like at the end of May, like 2 weeks before your wedding, and wait. This is not very easy. Oh, and it just like is always like a interesting to me that women, or they just don't know, people don't know that after you finish a session, there's a bunch of projects I'm working on. So it takes time to get through and edit all those. I try to get through a few every evening. So there could be a week or more of editing, getting the photos up for selections, and it takes time to pick everything out. And then there's the printing and the binding and the shipping. And some of that stuff can take a while. And, people don't realize that. So if there's a more stressful time of year for me, this is kind of it, dealing with these last-minute brides. And I hate to turn people away. I've had to do that in the past, when you're just, because I can only do so many sessions, but they tend to put the pressure on. Where are these people, coming in several months before their wedding? So I had to come up with a plan for some of these people, see how we're going to get them in. Try to do it, try to get in there. It's a little, it's a like kind of a thing to go. I like that kind of, all right, we got to squeeze this in. How are we going to do this? It makes my job a bit interesting, but not too much at once. Plan out your sessions. But anyway, if you're here for the first time, my name is Michael. I'm a woman's photographer from New Jersey. I've been doing this 15 or more years, photographing women, and I've worked with hundreds of women through the course of my career. And about 5 years or so ago, people started to book with me, and I'd be asking them, for a wedding? No. Anniversary? No. And then they started telling me that they were using some of the photos for their OnlyFans account, and I was like, what is that? So that was my introduction to how that system worked. And from that time, I've worked with literally dozens and dozens of women coming in to do content for OnlyFans, from very small beginners accounts to larger, well-established accounts, and everything in between. So it was never really something I set out to do, but learned a lot about the system, how it works from talking to these people, and you pick up some stuff as you're kind of going along. So working with all these people and constantly being asked questions about this, we started to do this little show. Not trying to sell anybody anything. It's just about information, things that I've heard, and questions I receive about this that we'll try to answer and help the people out who just may be starting or may not know how that system works. And it was originally a lot of photography questions, but kind of branched out to a little bit of everything. So thanks to everybody who's watching the show. We get some watchers, still a small show. Most of them come afterwards. I think last week's show, a couple thousand people watching that already in the first week. So, it's good to see, and appreciate everybody who spends some time, and hopefully you can get some good information out of the show. Just have about 6 questions or so tonight to go through, and we will get started here. Let me get my name out of there. Put these in on Friday. I don't remember what I put in here. So we will jump right into this. Oh yeah, I remember. I'd like to build a strong community feel on my page, which is important. What strategies have worked in fostering a supportive and engaging subscriber base? Now, we've talked about this before, and the answer is very simple, and that is interaction. And you always have to think of the people coming to your page. They're no longer a follower, they are a customer. And if you come from that Instagram school of I ignore everybody and people just love me no matter what, it's a very different thing that you want to keep people around, especially if they're paying. You know, imagine you walking into a business and I always say being ignored. You need help with something, or you know, just people don't respond to you, they ignore everything. How would you think about that business? Well, now you are that business. So they still think they're just going to ignore everybody. They ignore the comments, they ignore the messages, they ignore everything, and then they wonder why. And even if your account is still growing, there's way more that it can grow. And it really boils down, and I always say this over and over again, just little simple things, interacting with your customers, being genuine, being real, sharing a moment with the people that reach out to you, comment on your posts. It makes a world of difference. And, you know, I always tell, especially small accounts, do not block your comments, do not put tip minimums on or you shouldn't have your DMs open. Now, I'm not saying to go and if there's inappropriate stuff in there, you know, there's not to engage with that. However, if someone says something nice, thank them. Give a little to get a lot, you know, and this is the one real thing I think, excuse me, allergy voice is already getting to me, that a lot of people starting their OnlyFans just do not want to do. And they said, well, I still get a couple of people, but how many more can you get? And the key is to keep them around, keep them spending, get them to like you. And that's how you do that. So the very simple strategy is just to engage, interact. Remember, these people are coming to see you. You are their celebrity. You know, so that little bit, think of you got to meet a movie star out there somewhere and they ignored you. You saw somebody and you're like, oh, and they turned their back on you and walked away when you went over to say hi or something like that. You probably feel real different about that person going forward. So you can't underestimate how that sort of interaction works on a smaller scale. I get it. That's really the number one thing that I see people doing is completely ignoring their subscribers or the people on their page. And, you know, they will come and go. So what I always say is this, and you said it right there, supportive and engaging subscriber base. If you want them to engage with you, you have to engage with them, build that interaction. It's difficult because, you know, guys are here and there, they're all over the place, but it takes a little bit of work to do that. And once you get in the habit of doing it, if you see a message, something about nice page or something like that, just make time to respond to those DMs or respond to those comments or build some interaction. I know it sounds always like kooky, but with polls or stuff like that. And we've done some things with, you know, commenting on a post or something, and they get a little bit of a free gift. And that's worked just to start. You got to teach these people how to get in there and engage with your page. So just engage, respond, and the answer to your question is right in that question. So get out there and start responding to a few of your people, and then they'll stick around and you will grow that supportive community on your page. So do it. Camera question. When it comes to equipment, do I really need fancy cameras, or can I make do with my phone to start off with? Looking for some budget-friendly advice. Yeah, and this is a question that comes up every couple of shows, and I will repeat the same thing I always repeat. Do not spend a lot of money on any kind of fancy camera gear. You do not need it. If you are just starting off, you will not get a return on that investment. Camera gear, anything in photography is super, super expensive. Cameras, lenses, lighting, all that stuff. There's not a lot of sense in going out and spending hundreds and hundreds or thousands of dollars on something when you know immediately you're not going to be getting a return on that, because it takes a while to build an account and start, you know, getting them mass message money coming in and tips and subscriptions and stuff like that. So there isn't going to be a huge difference of people subscribing to your account because you have a professional camera versus you're just using your phone. And the thing about phones now, they all take such great pictures. Doesn't matter if you're an Android phone, they all have great cameras and simple to use. They have editing that's built into them, and some of them will automatically touch up photos. So that is fine. And as I always say, if you want to purchase anything extra, you can spend $25 or $30 getting a phone stand, on Amazon with the base. And some of them even come with a little Bluetooth remote control. So you can set it up, you put your phone in the clip, take a few steps back, or you can stand in your room or lie on the bed or whatever you want to do. And you could just use the remote to take those pictures. And then, it takes practice, but you'll learn and build your account starting there. There is no need to go out and spend a lot of money. If you have a friend come over, they can always do the pictures for you, but after a while people get annoyed, and they'll do it once, but they're not going to keep coming back to take the photos for you. And then people can, and that's the one thing that always drives me nuts a little bit, when 80% of the photos on someone's account are just the arm length, selfie shots like this. Just spend the $25, get the phone stand, and that's a very simple way to level up your content. So use what you have, and that's all you need at first. So that's my budget-friendly advice for you is when it comes to the camera gear. Just make sure you have decent lighting. After that, I would say get a light, not a ring light. You see those things all over the place. Those were never meant for photography in that sense. But maybe get some kind of an LED light if you're in a darker room. But it's, again, not super necessary. Just start off with the basics with your phone, and you are good to go. So good luck. Make sure you have a lot of cloud space to store all those photos, because they start to add up. Just delete the ones that you don't use. You don't have to hang on to them forever. So good luck. Happy photos. And we are on to number 3. Oh yeah, I saw this come through. And question was, hi, how many people open your MMs when sent on average? And you see, I saw this in the middle. This question came in the middle or so of last week. So what I did, and I said, that's something I should really know. And I from the accounts, and I don't know. So what I did was, and this is an interesting experiment, because this is going to vary, and this is interesting for you to see how many people are actually looking or opening or looking through your content. So what I wanted to do, I had one account and decided to send out a mass message. And in that message, we just put, hey, just checking. If you're looking at my stuff, if you respond to me in the next 24 hours, I'll send you out a little something. And sent that message out. And we were curious to see, there's no purchase involved or anything like that, just to see if people were opening it, reading it, and then responding to it. And to give them a little video, get a little video ready to send out for that account. Nothing super wild, but just, check on the engagement. So just did it on one account. And this account, I wrote it down too, as we waited. And I added everything up because I'm good like that. But this account, at the time we sent out the messages, had 3,170 active subscribers. In that 24-hour period, there were 60 or 61, 60 responses that came through. So if you look at that 60 people versus the 3,170 in that, it's about 1.89%. And it doesn't mean that only 1.89% or 60 of them opened the message, but that's the amount that opened it and clicked the return. So less than 2%. If you round up, say you're about 2%. So this is the reality that you're dealing with. Now, that was just one account, one sample, only did it for one. So I can't say that's for everybody, but that's an interesting experiment that you can do. And it really opened your eyes to how many people are actually opening and reading the content in your mass messages. Because you know now that OnlyFans has turned into this mass message hellhole where you log in, like I log into my account every day. It's just like, and you could see the people every day. They're in there every day. This is the most I've done. This is the most revealing ever, the sexiest ever, you know, and it's just the same over and over and over. People have turned to this system of just bombarding people's inboxes with those messages, and it looks like the actual, and it's gone down. It used to be higher because just it's happening all the time now. So what do you think happens? People pay less and less attention to those messages. They open fewer and fewer of them because there's so many of them. People are overrun with them. So, you know, that once super great, I'm just going to mass message everybody because it sits in front of them in their inbox, has become a lot less effective than it was a year or two ago because people are just doing it so much and so often. So in this instance, we got a 1.89% open and return rate. So, you know, if you use that, you know, that's a good idea maybe of what percentage of people may be opening and looking at your mass messages when you send out. So that was a little experiment we did over the weekend. You could use that information, test it on your own account. Like I said, give the people a little prize for opening and responding a picture or whatever, and, you know, see what you get. So I'm doing the work for you. Okay, next question on the big shoe. Oh, yeah. This is not a dumb question. So, question, I remember this is a dumb question, but how do I know how many subscribers I have? And that's not a dumb question because nothing is super obvious on that OnlyFans site. Some things are just difficult to figure out. It doesn't make a lot of sense, you know, so it's not at all obvious. People are looking for a place on there for subscribers and it's not there. And what I did, I just grabbed a screenshot of an account I saw online, and I'll just show you where, in case you don't know to look for this, where you can find this. Let me just switch into my presentation screen. I think I can add it on here where you can see it. Let's see. Yeah, it may not be big enough. Hopefully you can see that. Can you see it? But if you go into your own account and click on the profile page, whether it's on a phone or a computer. I'm sitting here on a computer, so it'll look a little different if you're doing it on a phone. But up on the tippy top, you know, here you will see some stats. And you don't always see it, but all the way on the far right, because some people have it hidden, you'll see it, but your customers don't see this. It'll have a little person with a heart next to it. And like on this example, from BXBY Mystic. This is just a random thing I saw on Google, so this, I don't know who this is or anything, but see, it shows like 233. So in the upper right hand corner there, that's how many subscribers, or active subscribers, I should say, that this account will have. Now, this is not live, this is not a real thing, but if you go onto that and click on it, it will bring you to another page with a bit more information. On the right hand side, you will see, I forget what they call it, total subscribers, active subscribers, and people that you've lost who used to subscribe at some point. It'll give you a couple of different numbers of subscribers. And again, sometimes that's confusing to people. Where active is the people currently renewing each month that are attached to your account. Total, I think it is total, and I don't have an account open, but that's like all time from the history that you've had your account. And that number usually will always be larger than active. And then there's another column which called like former subscribers or something like that. I think I would have written this down, but those are the people who at one time were subscribed to your account and then unsubscribed for whatever reason. So there's actually a list in there, and you can see all the people who unsubscribed. Why would that be there? Well, that's there so you can go in. It's a list and say, hey, where'd you go? I liked having you around. I'm more engaging now. See, you weren't engaging, but now I will respond to your comments. Maybe you want to come back and chat with me a little bit and hang around. I'm lonely. But there's another list in there that shows the people who used to be subscribe to your account as well, and I will show the different profiles and the information on there for when they subscribed and when they unsubscribed and so forth. So it's interesting if you've never got in there, and you can see. Maybe you're curious to find out what percent of the people subscribed to you lost. Maybe that's a signal that you need to be changing or doing something if that number is very high. Now there's a lot of turnover in accounts, but another interesting thing that you can go in and take a look at. So that's where you're going to find your subscriber number in there. And there's some ways to see it in reports too, but that's the easiest way, is just to click on your profile. So let me zap myself back into this. Let me close this out. Like zooming right along here tonight. So now that we know how many subscribers we have, I forget what the next question is in here. Nice show. Well, thank you. Hey, I'm new around here and trying to figure out the best way to set my subscription fees. Any tips on pricing that feels fair, that still values my work? Thanks. Yeah, I remember the chat I had with this woman. Now, I think, this is just my observation and opinion, OnlyFans tends to be trending towards free accounts. More and more accounts just become free. You know, so that's just what I see. But if you are going to have a subscription fee for your account, you know, there is no one right answer there. The one thing you have to be aware of is the higher that price goes, the fewer amount of people are going to be subscribing to your page. And that's just a fact. If you charge $35 a month, you're going to have a lot fewer than someone charging $199 a month or $299 a month. It's just how it goes. You may have a way more dedicated following in that group because they're really into what's going on your page, but there's going to be way fewer of them in most instances. So the key there, if you're going to do a monthly subscription, is to figure out that point, and it also comes down to the type of content you are going to be producing, how often you're going to be putting material up there, you know, because remember, these are now your customers. They're not just followers. People do ignore that we talked about. Yeah, I know you ignored them all on Instagram or wherever, but now they expect something for their money. So you have to be producing regular content, new content to keep these people coming back. And I think if you're brand new and you have a huge following and you know that, and I'm talking about 250,000, hundreds of thousands of people on your account, and a good percentage of those will come over for know about you. They know, they've seen your photos there. They're familiar with you. They get a sense of your personality, and you think you could bring a big chunk of those people over for a new account, and they're dedicated to you, and you can get people in there. I think, you know, that's one way that I would say to start with a subscription. If you have a huge dedicated following already, get those people onto your account and you're off to a good start. If you do not, if you are creating a brand new socials, brand new Instagram, and a lot of people do this, they have their regular Instagram, they decide to create an OnlyFans and they don't want their regular group to know about that, so they create a new one, really has no following, and you're creating these brand new socials, and then you're using those there isn't a lot to push at when you're first starting unless you build those up first. So the one thing you have to keep in mind is if you start with a subscription and you don't have a huge initial influx of people coming into that account, you know, it's like, yeah, that looks, yeah, I see you got like $10 there, but you know, I don't know what's going on in there. Imagine walking up to, you know, it reminds me of like, if you just go to a mall, shopping mall, if they were building a new store, they'd build that covered facade to like block the construction so you couldn't see what on. You're always like curious about what's going on in there. So imagine your account says, yeah, $10 and I'll give you a look. And I'm not wasting $10. I don't know what's going on in there. You know, so if you're a brand new account, don't have a lot of followers, and you don't have a big group of people to send to that account, it gets trickier to start with subscriptions because, they're, like, I don't know if I want to spend, I don't know what's in there. Why would I spend dollars? There's not a lot of social proof. They can see you do not have a lot of likes and follows and stuff on your, remember we were just looking at the last example, those things on the top of your account. If you're going to keep those visible, only like 3 people in this account. Why am I going to spend $10 on this? So you can struggle a bit growing small accounts or having no traffic to build paid accounts now. It's just the nature of it, for the uncertainty of what's in there. They don't know you. Why would they be spending that money with your account unless you're an established brand? Like you said, you have thousands of followers. So it does get difficult in a lot of cases to start with a subscription. So that's why, there's that trade-off. If it's free, people are not reluctant to check it out and see what's going on. And there is more turnover in subscriber accounts, despite what you hear of all this stuff. Oh, it's so easy, and I have 8,000 people paying. They do not. A lot of people, again, this is marketing. They make this up to pique the curiosity of others to come and see that account. So don't believe everything that you see. But so those are some of the pluses and minuses there. And you can always adjust if you have a brand new account and you are starting with a subscription. Again, my voice is so horrible. So sorry to keep drinking from my little sippy cup. But if you are starting with a subscription and you have no people, start lower. You can always raise it. It's, a little bit going to key off some people, but you can always adjust and go up or down. There's no rule that says you can't do that if you start to producing quality content, and you can always adjust it and see what works best for you, because every account's going to be a little bit different, and it takes some figuring out. And there's no one right answer. It's like I say with restaurants. All restaurants don't have the same price. You go in and get a McDonald's, it's a lot different than if you're going into a Ruth's Chris steakhouse. They don't charge the same. It's a different experience, different levels, so it's the same thing when it comes to pricing and subscriptions on accounts. It really comes down to the quality of the content, how often you're going to be putting there, the name recognition, kind of the social proof you bring with yourself. So it is complicated. It takes some time to work out. And that's my 2 cents worth on that subject, but there is no one right answer. Talk to your friends, see what they're doing. They've had success at what they've been doing, and it's not simple. Gotta put that work into it. I remember this question too. Hi, Mike. Hey. What's your approach to giving feedback to creators about their content? And how can they best implement constructive criticism to improve their OnlyFans pages? Yeah, and I don't do that. I mean, I know what this person meant was I would go in and, actively criticize what they were producing and the quality of their work. Like, oh, this needs to be more in the center and stuff like that. And the truth of the matter is that you don't need genius, top quality content when you're making photos to have success there. It's not necessarily tied to that. And you know how we were talking earlier just about the restaurants and the Ruth's Chris versus the McDonald's, and there's a difference there. Both of those chains are successful, right? But they target different markets. Now, if you want to be that super high-end kind of market, I think people would expect the level of that content to be produced. And a lot of people, what they do is go outside and have work with photographers like me to have certain level of videos. Producing your own videos isn't very easy, and to have a higher quality content done. And this is something that is, again, very sort of Darwinian in that, if people don't like what you're doing, you'll hear it or they just won't hang around. But the key, so quality, it's not really wasn't my place to, because I do see photos or people say, what did you think about this group of photos or something like that? And generally, I like to be helpful to people and not say that was really bad. But, I think if you're talking on the photography end of it, it takes a while. If you are new to learn how to do photography, especially of yourself, it's difficult. And you will get better as you sort of go along. and then you will get feedback from the people that are on your account. And as I noted, you don't need expensive gear. Expensive gear is not going to mean you're going to be a great photographer. Just like if I went out and bought the most expensive set of golf clubs in the world, doesn't mean I'm Tiger Woods. You know, it just doesn't work that way. It's learning how to do photography. Takes a lot of experience, kind of like playing a guitar. There's a lot of expensive gear and it's a lot of practice. And there is a point of diminishing returns there. So again, there's no point in going out and spending $4,000 on gear if you're just starting your page. It's not going to make any difference at that point. And the one thing about when you're starting, as I noted, there ain't going to be a lot of people on your page to begin with. So you get to improve as you sort of go along, and you will. And as more people show up, your material will get better. You'll figure out your schedule. You'll post regularly. You know, and the number one thing here too is to get feedback from your customers. And what do you mean? Well, that's with polls. What do you want to see from me? What did you like best about this? And we're talking about being engaging, and this is all part of the work. Did you like this outfit? Did you like that outfit? What do you want to see? And then tailor your content a bit to the people that are showing up and that like you. So, but I don't like to jump on somebody and say, oh, this photo's all wrong, because people are not professional photographers, and that's not really the intent, you know. So you're just like, you're taking somebody who's just like an amateur in anything, and like, you know, if you don't know how to play football and you're standing next to an NFL player, you know, it's not very encouraging if that NFL, you're doing everything wrong, and you know, you would want to build them up. That's and lift them. So I don't like to be too critical about people. Be helpful step by step, but don't worry too much and struggle about quality of photos at first, because it's not the most super important thing in the world. The more is just regularly produce content, ask for feedback, and adjust and listen to your audience, and you will get better as you start to do photos and videos. And that's our theme tonight, is engagement and talking. That's the question. So maybe not the best answer in the world there, but, you know, have I sat down with people and they've asked me to do real rigid reviews about their account and what they're doing and what's right and what's wrong? Yeah, you know, but in general, you know, I try to be helpful to people and not put them down in that sense. Okay, onward to 7. I think this is my last one. I'm considering shooting videos in addition to photos. Good idea. I'm all tangled up in my wires here. Do you have any beginner tips for transitioning into video content? Yeah, and video content is a whole other world, and it is something that now can really earn you, I think, a lot more money than just plain photo sets. Video has become a lot more prominent now than it was 2 or 3 years ago, and I see more and more of what we're doing is professionally produced video content. However, you could still film video yourself, just like you could take the photos yourself, as we talked about. And I would not go spending a bunch of money on this. That same phone stand that we were talking about for $25 or $30, you can get and put your phone on there and film video content with that same remote control. Set things up. iPhones take wonderful, wonderful videos. You do not have to do things in 4K, because I don't think no one sees it on 4K anyway. When you upload it, they just downsize all that stuff. But the tricky thing about video, unless you're really skilled, like if I was trying to help this one, she wanted to film some stuff in a bed, and the problem is you kind of need a high angle to shoot down. So sometimes that's a little tricky, and she wanted close-ups. And if you want moving, obviously you can't do that by yourself. So sometimes if you do have a friend, like I said, but you know, these people are only going to help every so often. It's hard to get someone in there all the time to shoot videos, because these people have lives. So you have to learn how to kind of do this stuff by yourself and shoot some static stuff. The tricky part about video, though, is learning how to edit. And the one thing I would say, you can edit through iMovie and stuff like that on your phone. That's an awful application, that iMovie. So I would, if you're editing video on a phone, is just so bad. So if you have a laptop, it is a bazillion times easier, but editing video is a skill that, again, takes a while to learn, and it's overwhelming at first. You want to learn why people who make videos make a whole lot of money because of the work that's involved in that. So it's a function of practice and learning again. And video editing software, there's got to be a free one out there, but that stuff can be expensive. The time putting in it can take a long time to learn how to edit videos, but it's a skill that if you put the time in there and a little bit at a time, that's something that can pay a good return for you. Because if you can start to develop just some basic editing skills with videos and transitioning and putting stuff together to tell a story, you can send those out for money. And a good edited professional quality video, you can have a decent return on that for that time invested. So learning how to edit video, I think, is a really useful skill for anybody in social media now. And some people have to learn how to do that by default, but especially for OnlyFans content, because video is just growing, and people want to see longer, more complicated videos. I think at this point now, I'm shooting with my people. We used to do one, now we're doing multiple cameras, angles, and it just sort of evolves into this more complicated thing. But don't spend a lot of money. Use your phone. And the key for a video is lights. If you have the means to get, like I have fancy schmancy lights all around here, but LED lights that are on all the time. Don't buy a ring light. That's silly. Like I said, that was never intended for that kind of stuff. But if you can, they're not super expensive. You can get decent LED lights, $50, $60 or so. And see, here's the thing, you got to get a stand and other material. If where you're shooting is not well lit, it's another worthy investment to get those lights. Just lights make all the difference when it comes to photos or videos. Don't go spending tons of money on that again, but just sort of add it in as you're making some money from those videos. And then what I would do, and when I have the people I work with do, we're asking about videos, just do some practice videos. It could be just you in your sweats or something like that. And imagine how you want to do this video. Say it's just something on your bed and lying there, or kneeling in your bed and doing some, just practice in your sweats. Film that to see how it looks. Take that video and just start trying to do some basic edits with that. I should have dug up the names of some video editors that are easy to use or so forth. And then learn a little bit how to create a video. And then what I would say, you can put the camera at the end of the bed and do your, this is where video becomes work. Do your little scene of your hands coming down your body or whatever you're doing. Take the camera from the front or the bottom of the, move it to the side, and film you going through that same thing again, just from a different angle. And then that's one of those things where you have different angles and you switch back and forth. That kind of gives it that, video can get super complicated, but you could put in multiple angles in there, shots from one side, shots from the other side. If you're really cool and you have one of those gimbals and you have a friend, we do a lot of gimbal shots with the camera gliding up the bed or going in and going out and like moving shots, but that sort of gets more complicated. And a lot of that stuff, again, costs hundreds and hundreds or thousands of dollars. So start simple. Get a light. If you're working in a dark space and don't have a lot of window, get the simple stand and the phone holder, and practice doing some videos just in your everyday clothes. Think of a little script, because another thing that people do is they like a video and they have no plan. So, all right, so this video is going to be me. I'm going to be kneeling on my bed. It's going to be a little silly undressing video. I'm going to start with whatever I'm wearing, and I'm going to take off and do something like that. So have a little bit of a plan. You don't have to talk through these videos, but still in your mind, come up with what this video is going to be. Film it just in your clothes. Learn how to edit stuff. Make a real simple short one at first. And it's not going to be great. It's going to be terrible. That's okay. It's all right. It's going to suck at first, but it will get easier as you go along. And then you will realize, after you do this for, boy, those first videos I did were really bad. And then as you become better at editing, you can start raising the prices of these videos. You can start making your videos longer and longer. And then, you know, we sell videos now for 40, 50 bucks, 60 bucks or so. So when you make some good videos, at that point, you can really, again, start to get a return on that. So video is a skill that takes time, practice, effort, and unfortunately a lot of money at the higher end. But again, start simple, work with what you have, and then editing is the real thing, and do learn how to do some basic transitions and maybe even some camera angles at first. Put that together. You got a big opening scene or an opening credits or an ending, put a little music underneath it, and you're good to go. And I should have seen if I can find some links for some video. Maybe I'll think about that and do it for next time. But good question on that. Again, that's something that could be a whole show in and of itself about video editing. So good question here. I appreciate you sending that in. And good show tonight. We've covered a lot of ground. On for 40 minutes or so. And as usual, if you have any questions, anything I can help you with, I'm not here to earn any money. There's, you know, simple helping people out doing this. Just leave the questions down below the video. Most people are reaching out to me on my website and my chat or an email. Happy to answer any questions if I can. And then we'll put the questions on an upcoming show and answer them for everybody. So that's it. That's all I got for tonight. It's about all I can talk with this voice. Get into my sippy cup. Hopefully this pollen goes away soon and I'll be a little bit back to normal. So thanks for everybody. Hopefully there was something helpful in here and useful, and I'll be back on the next show. So thanks for taking some time and have a good week. See ya.